Good morning. It is March 13th, and welcome to episode 6 of Like It or Leave It. Hope everyone had a good weekend out there. Hope that you're not letting this letdown Monday get you down too much. And I call this a letdown Monday because we have a couple letdown Mondays in sports. We have the Monday after the Super Bowl. We've got the Monday after, obviously, yesterday being Selection Sunday. It's not anything bad with this Monday, but it's just the normal stigma of a Monday. Plus, you just had this major event, and now that major event is over. Obviously, this letdown Monday is not as bad as the Super Bowl because, at least with this, our letdown Monday for this only lasts for about 3 or 4 days, and then we get college hoops. We get March Madness. With the Super Bowl, obviously, we go from the Super Bowl, the playoffs, all the hype going into it, to now about 4 or 5 months without football. So, like I said, hope you're not letting this letdown Monday get to you too much. We got a good amount of things to talk about today. We're talking about NBA teams with birds as their mascots. We're talking about NFL teams with birds as their mascots. And I'm finally going to talk about one Mr. Brock Osweiler and what he should do now. But first, we want to talk about a letdown Monday. I'm going to talk about what happened with the letdown Saturday. There's a couple things you will never see me talk about on this show. You will never see me talk about politics. You will never see me talk about sex advice. And you will never see me talk about what are the new cooking recipes for whatever season we're in. You know what else we didn't see? A good game Saturday night when we were expected to see the Warriors and Spurs, the two teams that separated by 1.5 games, the top two teams in the West for pretty much the last 2 years. They both rested all of their star players. LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm keeping out of this conversation simply because he has a legitimate heart condition, and that's a different story. But obviously, the big four of the Golden State Warriors did not play. Kawhi Leonard did not play. We basically got my bench versus your bench, and we saw what was actually like an okay game. I don't know. I could not stay focused, and I did not watch the game through and through. Comparatively to if those guys were playing, I would have watched through and through. The Warriors announced Friday night, that their big four were not going to play. Greg Popovich responded with, well, I can one-up it. I'm going to pull Kawhi Leonard tonight. Really? So we get this game that's got the hype. It's got the ABC primetime game of the week. And you're just gonna pull all of the star players? Let's look at that for a second. So first off, most people get confused and they sit there and think, the players want to rest or the coaches are making these guys rest, and they get mad at them saying, "Oh, how could Greg Popovich rest his guys? He's taking away from the fans. He's taking away from the experience." Obviously, this all started a few years ago when he pulled his big three then of Tim Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker on TNT, and people got upset about it. I'm not saying that the coaches and players don't have some say in it, but you know who really makes these guys rest and is continuing this epidemic of players resting in big-time games or just resting throughout the season? There's 30 guys that are responsible for every little bit of this. Those are the 30 people that own the NBA teams. Think about something. The league TV partners pay $2.6 billion per season on average last 3 years to play the NBA's games on national television. They pay the NBA this much money because they have ads, they have sponsors, and they want to put their product out there. And what better way to do it than when people are watching the basketball game? They're going to watch the commercials. If you know anything about business, you get how that works. You know who gets really upset when these guys aren't playing? The league's TV partners. Like I said, I went from watching that game, if those guys are playing from start to finish, to I watched maybe, give or take, honestly, 15 to 20 minutes of it. And I was flipping through the channels. I was looking at other things, doing other stuff. The game didn't hold my attention. The NBA does not want this trend to continue because they know once their TV partners start getting mad at them, their TV partners are going to start pulling back. So instead of a $2.6 billion deal to go host all the games, well, if I know I'm getting 7-8 games a year that are primetime games that are going to have guys resting, well, I'm going to pull back my money in terms of the percentage. So if that's 10% of the primetime games, 10% of $2.6 billion. The NBA doesn't want that. Now, the owners, they want their guys to rest. You know why? Because they got a lot of money invested in these human beings. If you go to work, the minimum wage job per se, use that as our example. You're making $10, $50, $11 an hour. I live in California. You, one day of work, about an 8-hour day of work, you're worth about a little under $100 to your boss. That's how much it costs to have you there. These guys, especially on the higher end pay scale, are worth a couple $100,000 on a daily basis. They have a lot of money invested in these guys. These owners don't want their guy spraining an ankle, tearing a ligament, having some kind of injury go down. Because then that's not only do they have to pay them regardless if they're hurt, they're now losing out on potential money that they should be receiving. Obviously, if you get to the playoffs, if you're the home team or the better seed, that's a potential 4 extra home games. You make it to the second round, another potential 4 home games. You make it to the third round, another potential 4 home games, and then obviously make it to the finals, another 4. And even if you're the lower seed, another 3, 3, 3, and 3. That is 12 to 16 more home games, 12 to 16 more games you can sell tickets, 12 to 16 more games you sell merchandise, you're selling snacks, selling food. These are the guys who are pulling the plug saying, LeBron's not going to play that game in Memphis because I'm not going to make as much as LeBron playing in Memphis as I will LeBron playing in the second round of the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard playing in the Western Conference Finals. The owners aren't at fault from a practicality standpoint because they own the team. They sign the contracts. They pay the bills. They can do whatever they want with their team, with their franchise. But it just gives a negative public perception of these players that are like, oh, they just want to rest. They don't want to compete. They don't want to play all 82 games. That guy's gone from the NBA. No, that guy's not gone from the NBA. But they got 30 guys who they've got to pick up the phone and say, hey, boss, how many times do you really go out of your way when you pick up the phone and say, hey, boss, do you really stick your chest out and say, you know what? I don't care what you say. I'm going to do it my way. Doesn't happen. The New Orleans Pelicans are 3-6 with DeMarcus Cousins. Everyone's saying, blow it up. See, told you it wouldn't work. Boogie can't win anywhere. we need to slow down on that. The amount of time it actually takes guys to gel is kind of a very weird concept, I think is the better way to put it. You got these guys who they've played together now for all of 9 games, been on the same team all of maybe 18 days, 20 days, and we're expecting, oh, it should be instantaneous. It's just like the Warriors. Well, the Warriors already had a system in place, and Kevin Durant literally just put in, it's like if they already had a system where it was slot A, slot B, slot C, slot D, insert part here, turns it on. Kevin Durant was just a better slot C than Harrison Barnes. The Pelicans are trying to reinvent the way they play with these 2 twin towers, these 2 big superstars. And part of the reason, if you ask me, it's not working so well as of right now is I don't think either of them are alpha males. Let me take that back. DeMarcus Cousins, I think, is an alpha male, but I think he's having such a hard time with, I can't say anything, I can't do anything because anything I do, the media is going to kill me, they're going to criticize me. He's already been shown cussing out fans. He's already been shown having DeMarcus Cousins type behavior, and he knows no matter what he does, he's going to be looked at as the bad guy. Let me show you something that's kind of interesting. I'm going to throw up some numbers here. Like, as they're trying to play together, it's becoming more and more clear they play better separately. Like I said, they're 3-6 since they've acquired DeMarcus Cousins. But they're 2-0 in games that they have the game he got suspended, and they have the game he got benched. Anthony Davis, in the game he got benched, put up 46 points, 18 of 31 shots, 21 rebounds. DeMarcus Cousins got subbed out. Now, mind you, he had 5 fouls with 9:34 to go in the fourth quarter. From that point forward, and they went to overtime in that game, Anthony Davis had 24 points on 10 of 17 shots. Of course, he took 17 shots. He didn't have to worry about him and DeMarcus Cousins having the same number of shots or making sure that he's deferring to DeMarcus Cousins so DeMarcus Cousins feels comfortable. Well, vice versa. The game that Anthony Davis gets hurt against Toronto, Pelicans end up losing. DeMarcus Cousins has 25 points, 10 rebounds. He's 8 of 23. Not a great percentage, but still put up his shots. The one game that they played well together, as far as the stats show, against the Lakers, Cousins had 26 points, 15 rebounds, 9 of 21 shooting. Davis had 31 points, 9 rebounds, 10 of 22 shooting. They're so concerned about non-basketball things. Anthony Davis is concerned about making sure, make sure he feels welcome, make sure he feels like he's a part of the team, make sure he gets the same shots. I don't want to shoot too much more than him. And Cousins knows I've got to defer. No matter what I do, I'm going to look like the bad guy. People already want me to take the back seat. People want me to play Robin. They want him to be Batman. You know, you look at big time, before we got into this big 3 era, look at big time duos in NBA history. I'm going to look at what I consider to be the 3 best. Let me use those as examples and just show you how everybody else falls into line. Kobe, Shaq, Jordan, Pippen, Stockton, Malone. Why did these guys work? Well, Kobe and Shaq were just 2 of the top 4 or 5 talents in the league at the time they played, and they're 2 of the top league talents. They're 2 of the top 10 league talents ever. That helps. Davis and Cousins aren't them. Both think they're great, but they're not Kobe and Shaq. Jordan and Pippen. Jordan, clear alpha male. Scotty, you'll get yours, but I get mine first. Stockton and Malone. That was just a natural blend of skill sets. Malone wanted to score. He was down in the post. Stockton wanted to assist, play defense, steal the ball. Their skill sets just naturally work together. Like I said with the Warriors, slot A, slot B, insert device into slot A, insert device into slot B, boom. Let's look at some other ones. Duncan and Robinson. While I don't think Tim Duncan was quite the alpha male that Michael Jordan was, Robinson immediately deferred to him and immediately made him kind of rise up as the alpha male, and he took that role, or he was given that role. Olajuwon and Sampson. Olajuwon, clear alpha male. He said, hey, Ralph, you're going to get yours, but this team runs through me. Parrish and McHale, once again, system, slot A, slot B. If Anthony Davis is going to become an elite player, and I'm talking about like elite top 1, top 2 guy, he's already there talent-wise. But he's got to take it amongst himself to say, you know what, Cousins, this is my team. I'm going to be the guy getting closer to 30 and 10. You're going to be the guy getting closer to 22, 24 and 10. But I'm going to get the last shot. I'm going to get the big shots. We're going to run this team through me. And if Cousins accepts that and he's willing to play with them, they'll do well. If he doesn't, we got a lot more 3 and 6 stretches for the Pelicans. Free agency. I talked about this a little bit last week about how I feel about free agency, about paying for someone's past. But that doesn't exclude paying for still prime years. You do get those times you get the 26, 27-year-old and, you got 1 or 2 more good prime years. You get them on a 3-4 year deal. I don't even mind the 5-year deal to some degree. That 31, 32 season, still got a lot of production. Ooh, but let's look at some of who I think the winners, more interesting people in free agency are. The Patriots acquired Brandon Cooks, Stephen Gilmore, and Coney Ealy. Wow. So Gilmore was a free agent. The other 2 were trades. In breaking news, Bill Belichick has done it again. For some reason, teams can't figure out why the Patriots are so successful. And yet they still keep trading away valuable players, talented players, for almost nothing in return. Brandon Cooks and Coney Ealy, if you went into a draft and said those are your first and third round draft picks, you'd say you had an A+ draft class. The Packers acquired Martellus Bennett. That was big time because Packers never go after big time free agents. I thought they were going to keep Jared Cook. I thought he liked being in Green Bay enough. He was going to take a discount, but they got an upgrade. The Panthers re-signed Julius Peppers. I like those kind of deals. Go back home. I don't think they make a whole lot of logistical sense, but I like the, hey, you did so much for this franchise. We're throwing something back at you. The Eagles, I think, are big winners in the fact that they acquired Alshon Jeffrey and Pierre Garçon. This team needed receivers. They went out and got 2. I love the deals that just make sense. Hey, Denver needed offensive line. They go out and sign 2 offensive linemen. Oh, 2 of Denver's defensive linemen free agents. They bring in 2 more defensive linemen. They're not big-time moves. They're not glamour moves. They're not best value moves or best player available moves. This is our need. Let's go address it. There's always all this talk amongst players that certain guys got to get a certain deal because they got to keep the standard up for the players coming after them, just like the players before them set the standard. Did someone tell that to Alshon Jeffrey and Terrell Pryor, who both settled for 1-year deals and 1-year incentive-laden deals to be at that? Now, Terrell Pryor going to Washington for 1 year, $8 million. I don't blame him because he's literally getting out of Cleveland. So he would have signed a team with a Canadian team. Alshon Jeffrey is the interesting one because he's going to play on back-to-back years of the franchise tag and now this $14 million. And he could still turn it into a good five-year deal for about, give or take, $60, $70 million. I think Alshon Jeffrey is big time. But apparently most teams think otherwise. And we'll see. But there's no setting the precedent for the new guys like guys had before us if you want to sign these 1-year deals. Also, can we shout out these offensive linemen? Matt Khalil getting $55.5 million. Riley Reef getting $58.75 million. You want to see what the pass rushers have done to the game? Look at how rich they've made the guys on the other side of the ball who can block them. And no offense to Matt Khalil or Riley Reef, they're not big-time offensive linemen. They're just pretty good. It's like the relief pitcher in baseball. If you're pretty good, you can go out there and you can go out there and you're available, your availability and your predictability. Gosh, I love those words. You will get paid quite handsomely. All right. Final thing I want to talk about today, and I haven't talked about this much. I don't even talk about this with my friends, really. The catastrophe that has become Brock Osweiler. Brock Osweiler is very interesting to me. I always maintained the point that if Brock had stayed in Denver, he would have turned out to be, I would have given him 20 to 25 touchdown passes, 10 to 12 interceptions, 3,200 to 3,400 yards. He would have had an okay season with trending upwards. Then he went to Houston, and boy, it was just went downhill fast. Brock Osweiler in 2015 with Denver threw for 1,967 yards, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, had a rating of 86.4. Okay. For a guy making his first 6-7 starts, it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. With Houston, threw for 2,957 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions, 72.2 quarterback rating. Pretty much universally considered and seen as a disaster. And he was. 4 years, $72 million. The only guy I can compare him to, and this is how far of a drop-off we're getting here, is one Mr. Timothy Mozgov. Timothy Mozgov got a 4-year, $64 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers this offseason. He plays 20 minutes a game, averages 7 points, 5 rebounds, and not even a full block. And at this point, he doesn't even really get in the games for 20 minutes. Watched the game the other day. He came in for about 5 minutes and then was gone the rest. Brock's career has gotten that bad. We compare him to Timothy Mozgov, who Timothy Mozgov was nothing more than Blake Griffin hype 5-6 years ago. You'll hear me say it so many times. The system that you are in, the predictability of knowing what you're doing and what you're going to do, is huge in determining how good you are and how well your career will turn out. And Brock Osweiler is right now showing to be the Timothy Mozgov of the NFL. Timothy Mozgov doesn't want to be the Timothy Mozgov of the NBA. If it helps though, Brock, I mean, you are making like $18 million a year annually. So, as bad as you've played, you're probably sleeping pretty well at night. All right. Thank you guys for watching episode 6. Been a little off this morning. I'm still kind of recovering from being sick. There's no, obviously, as you can tell, there was no camera. My camera guy has midterms, so yeah, I know, right? He's doing that school thing. So we'll have the camera out here on this Friday, next Friday, and then after that, we'll get back to doing on a day-to-day with the camera. But until then, I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to check out Facebook, my Snapchat, Instagram, SoundCloud. Just got a Twitter. And I know I didn't do anything about the March Madness bracket, and I'm probably the only show that didn't do anything about March Madness bracket today. I will be doing something later this week. On Wednesday, I think is the day I'm going to do it, before the games start getting played, and we'll dedicate a good amount of the show to March Madness. Until then, I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful day and a great start to your week.